When you have a research question whose answer requires an experiment, the SCY Experimental Design tool, or SCY-Edge, can be used to design an experimental procedure that can be carried out in a lab, a virtual lab, or in the field. You open an already created experimental design by clicking on its icon in the activity space, and you create a new empty experimental procedure by clicking on the four-pointed star and choosing Experimental Procedure. First, you click on Research Question/Goal and enter your research question or goal. For example, we might want to find out how the thickness of the insulating layer in the outer wall affects the heat-retaining ability of the house, as increasing the heat-retaining ability will reduce the energy required to maintain room temperature. Next, you click on Hypothesis and enter your hypothesis. In a scientific experiment, it is necessary to have an explanation or hypothesis possible to test. A plausible hypothesis would be that increasing the glass wool insulating layer in a wall from 10 to 15 centimeters will increase the heat-retaining ability of a house when all other conditions are the same. Now, give a rough explanation of how the experiment will be conducted. Click on Principle of Manipulation and enter text that describes the experiment. For example, a cardboard box can be used to simulate a house. The box will be insulated first by a layer of 10 centimeters glass wool. A candle will be used to simulate the heating system of the house, and measurements of the temperature in the box will be taken over time. The experiment will be repeated using 15 centimeters glass wool. You can also add notes about your experiment like it is shown here. Materials that are needed to carry out an experiment needs to be listed. Click on Materials and a new window opens. Click Add New Material and enter material that you need. Provide a description of the material and add a note about it. Do so for each material. Materials needed for your experiment include a cardboard box, a roll of glass wool, 2 candles and something to keep the glass wool in place, such as tin foil. Now, the experimental procedure that describes the steps required to carry out our experiment needs to be specified in detail. If you click the Resources drawer, click the R, you will find checklist with advice on how to describe your experimental procedure. For example, it should be described precisely, be executable, be consistent with your research question and with your scientific method. This means that you only change one variable at a time. For example, in this experiment, only the thickness of the wool is varied. To describe an experimental procedure, click Manipulation and Data Treatment, and then Add a task. In the small window that opens, you can add new steps, delete, cut or copy, paste or alter the already entered steps by clicking on them. When you are finished designing your experiment, click Save to save the work.